You hear the entrepreneur stories. You know that the most amazing businesses are not created from fear, from panic, or even following what seems logical or rational. They actually come from your internal guiding system, your intuition. It gives you an idea of, oh, let's contact that person, or what if we change the product to be like this, or you get some other kind of inspired idea. And your job as an entrepreneur is to access this and believe it, to trust in it, and know that it is guiding you for your highest good. So today's podcast is a little different. I'm going to talk about how you access your intuition. And the last 12 minutes or so is a guided meditation. So for that part, you'll want to be in a safe, quiet space where you can close your eyes and do this work to access your intuition, speed up problem solving, and create faster success in your business. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy you are here with me today. We're talking about something really important in business and especially being an entrepreneur. And frankly, this is going to help you in your life as well. Today, we're talking about trusting your internal guidance system, trusting your intuition. Now, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, Sari's gone off the deep end. This is going to be way too woo for me. But just trust me, stay with me, because I know without a doubt that every single one of you could answer yes to this. Have you ever looked back on a decision and said, oh my gosh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I had a gut feeling that I shouldn't have done that. Or it's the other way around, where later on you were like, oh, I should have done that. I totally was scared and I questioned it. And man, looking back, I wish I would have done that. My gut was telling me to go forward. And I didn't. I didn't trust my gut. And listen, you guys are all out there solving problems, right? As entrepreneurs, part of being an entrepreneur is that you're always solving problems and you're being flexible and you're being creative. And yet, we often, once we get started, we freeze up and we start making decisions from fear and panic instead of from peace and from an inner knowing, from trusting our IGS, our internal guidance system. So today we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about what does it actually look like in a rational world, in a sane world where you're not just like skipping through the daisies and being ridiculous, but you're actually like, as an entrepreneur, using both your gut, your intuition, and your logical mind, because there's a place for both. But what happens is that our logical mind, we have put too much reliance on it. And it's actually doing us more harm than good at times because we're over reliant on it. And it's not something like what we're asking it to do is not what it's good at. We need to be using the systems as they are intended. That's how it works. And right now, and of course, always, there are going to be challenging times. And what can happen is that we get into fear, right? And we start making decisions from fear and from scarcity. And in this current landscape that we're in, right, we're seeing more higher costs, we're seeing tariffs, although I just got some celebrate wins inside fuel that some of our members are seeing some of those tariffs reversed, which is excellent news. But there's more competition, there's just general economic uncertainty. And so when that happens, we as entrepreneurs have to do our work to rise above that fear. And I love the acronym FEAR is false evidence appearing real. And that's exactly what happens is that we start getting into this group think and right, that fear, that energy can overtake us. But your responsibility, I believe, as an entrepreneur is to set that aside. It doesn't mean that there's not pieces that we want to look at, But we got to get into a space where we are calming our nervous system. We are tapping into a higher vibration and we are using our internal guidance system, your intuition. This is your secret weapon as an entrepreneur. And before you think I've gone way over the edge on woo-woo out there thinking, I want you to hear that this is actually brain science, right? That when we are in fear, our brain goes into fight or flight mode. It like stalls out on us. It is looking for the lion and for the fire, and it's not thinking clearly. We're no longer thinking rationally at all when we're in fear. And our amygdala, which is part of our brain, it hijacks our executive functions. It's our prefrontal cortex that we want online when we are making decisions. That is where we're going to find our creativity and be more strategic. It is not in fear in this amygdala primal brain. And when we are in fear, physically, the blood goes, it moves away from our brain parts that are doing all of the higher level thinking, and it's directing it into other parts of our body that is all about fight or flight. It's adrenaline, it's cortisol, right? And that's where we're running from the tiger. And that's not what we're doing here. We're business owners, we're entrepreneurs. We are making higher level connections. We're getting creative with our problem solving. And so what might that look like? Well, you get that email. I've been hearing a lot of our fuel members talking about like, oh my gosh, I got the email that my ingredient is going up or my packaging is going up or there's this brand new competitor, right? So what it ends up looking like is that we start slashing our prices, right? Instead of adding value because we're trying to compete. We start copying other people instead of being more authentic and leaning into our vulnerability and innovating and adding more value. Maybe we go into hoarding resources, and that's where everything, this is the crazy part. When I see markets happen like we're in right now, is that there's no less money available, right? And I've heard things where like when we go into recessions and depressions and economic, downturns and things like that, there's no less money. There's no fewer resources. There's certainly no less time. But everybody starts hoarding things, right? It's like the toilet paper during the pandemic. It's like there would have been plenty of toilet paper if some people hadn't gotten into this like fear, right? And this is that fight or flight where you just start sucking everything in. And that's when everything grinds to a halt. Instead, we want to be looking at strategic investing. Now, it doesn't mean that we're just rolling in it and we're like, yeah, let's go spend money. But we're thinking about where is ROI? Where is return on investment? Where is the market heading? Where can I be creative? Where can I add value and solve problems for people? And we make investments, calculated strategic investments. Fear-based decisions also look like very reactive decisions, right? It's this trigger, this like this knee-jerk thing where we are making these reactive decisions instead of being proactive. And we're probably saying no to some things that are actually really amazing opportunities, but we're like so locked down in fight or flight and black and white thinking that we can't see it. And so we're coming from this place of scarcity and lack. And fear-based decisions, I mean, it's like in the market, right? When markets plunge, they say like there's blood in the streets, and that's actually the best time to buy. If you can keep a cool level head, but most people freak out and they start offloading things because they're so worried about the market, and they end up like they're selling low, right? And other people are coming in and they're buying up all of that. They see the opportunity. And so we want to instead like be really mindful and get into an entrepreneurial mindset where we are using our internal guidance system. Because when we are making decisions from this place, we are going to be way more open to opportunities, to those serendipitous connections. We're going to put ourselves out there. We're going to see opportunity where other people only see like scarcity. It might be creative partnerships. It might be new ways to use your products that are filling a need in the marketplace. We need to become more flexible and less rigid. And when we tap into our intuition, that's what can happen. And there needs to be more expansion in our lives. That is the beauty. That is the magic of entrepreneurship. And I hope you guys can like feel it in your body, in my voice, because I get so fired up about this. And I'll be honest, like I wanted to do this episode number one because I wanted to leave you with this, right? Even if like, I mean, I do expect to come back and do the podcast, but you never know. So if I don't do any other podcast episodes, I wanted to be sure that you had this one because it's that important. And this is work that I have been doing. Do you think it's scary going to Europe for 100 days and wondering, am I still going to have a business? Am I going to blow up my whole business? Yes, it's really scary. And I have had to really work on my expansion and my belief and getting into using my intuition. And so I have been doing a lot more work around this. And I want to give full credit to a woman who I met actually in Seattle. And she's incredible. I will link her podcast. Her name is Marie Manicherry. And she talks a lot in some of her podcasts about leaning into your intuition and how to do it and getting out of the fear-based mindset and not over relying on our logical mind. And I have been starting to make some new decisions around my business from a more intuitive internal guidance system place. And things are incredible. I mean, business has never been better. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for all the people who came and joined us in Fuel, and grateful for the people who signed up for the program. And we're having so much fun. And some of this, like, as I pause the podcast, I am making some new strategic investments. But it's so interesting. I'll just tell you a quick story. I'll get back to it. So I want to make some investments into some advertising to help bring new people, right? We're always like, this is the same with your business. We always have to have this funnel, and we're bringing new people into the funnel to learn about us and to get excited and provide value and know that I can help them, right? And so without the podcast there, I want to make some other investments into advertising. And so I met with a couple of Meta folks, and they just gave me like it was just this answer that I didn't want to hear. And it wasn't like I know that's the truth and I don't want to hear it. It was more like I know, of course that's the answer you're giving me, but my gut is telling me that's not the right answer. And I ended up having a Spark coaching session with Julie Nervelli, and we were talking about it. And I was like, Julie, I know what these guys are saying is true, right? I believe it. It's something I hear all the time. I get the way this works. And in my gut, I just don't think that's the right thing to do. And I don't want to invest my money that way. But there is something that I do want to make an investment in. And so we ended up like brainstorming and talking about it and like really getting into my body and how it felt. And we came up with some new ideas that I'm still going to make an investment. And I'm actually going to work with one of these guys to help me implement it, but it was like coming at it from a completely different way. And I'm like, this is the thing. And once I made the decision, I was like, this is an alignment. This feels like yes. This feels like a heck yes. Amen. Let's go. And I had a couple of videos to record for it. And like I did the videos, they came really easy. They were fun for me. And I was in alignment. I was in my internal guiding system. And it was just like, go, go, go. Yes, yes, yes. And now it's like all coming together. And I'm so grateful to myself for not just saying yes, for not just saying, well, these guys know what they're talking about. And yeah, it's kind of a hybrid solution. It's like using some of their stuff and using what I know to be true. And we're just putting something together that I'm super excited about. And that's what you want, right? You want to use your logical mind to for the things that it's made for, but that's not where creativity comes from. I want to tell you that intuition is not just some woo-woo thing. It's that it's accessing the wisdom of our entire nervous system. It's accessing things that we can't even necessarily see because our conscious mind can only process very limited information. The way science says is that it's 40 bits per of information per second. That's it, 40 bits. Now, I don't exactly know what a bit is, but we're just going to go with it. And then your subconscious mind can process 11 million bits of information. So what we want to be doing is tapping into this real part of you that often gets pushed down, right? Especially in the West, in the Western economic systems, where like only use your logical mind, right? And like if there's no rationale or no reason to do it, we don't just go off of hunches, right? But the reality is that I would much rather get into alignment and calm my nervous system and access 11 million bits of information that's available to me in my body versus my mind, the like conscious part of my mind that is 40 to 11 million. That's a pretty good bet, right? And the reason why we especially need to lean into intuition as entrepreneurs is that you are navigating uncertainty daily, minute by minute, right? For many of us, you need to see opportunities that other people miss. I just got off a call with a granola gal, right, who joined Fuel. And it's like, yes, there's 1,000 granola brands out there, but we identified what was the thing, her opportunity, what was special about her granola. And we need to tap into our creativity and our intuition to see what are the opportunities there that other people are missing. We look back on inventions that have happened and we're like, oh, yeah, duh, of course. Like people who have made connections. But before then, it didn't exist. And of course, I don't have a good example that's coming to my mind right now. But after this, I'm sure I will remember all of them. But there are so many things that we're like, of course, peanut butter and chocolate. Why didn't anybody think of putting this together? But before somebody did it, it didn't exist. It wasn't a thing. And that's what you do as an entrepreneur. You're creating something that doesn't exist yet. And you're building relationships. I am telling you, the way to succeed as an entrepreneur is relationships, relationships, relationships. And you're constantly needing to read people and lean into it. And it's this like exchange of energy. And innovation ultimately comes down to connecting the dots that other people can't see. They're too in fear, they're too in scarcity. And so we're going to get into our intuition. And this podcast, I'm going to do a little meditation at the end because I want you to get into your intuition. And if that feels too woo-woo, if you're like, no, Sari, not for me. The other thing I want you to do, the other option I have for you is to do a super thinking session. I was talking with one of my clients this morning and her laptop, she was going on this like 4-hour train ride. And we had this whole plan of what she was going to do. And her laptop decided not to turn on that morning. And so I said, well, this is a great opportunity for you to do that super think exercise. And you put in your headphones and you create a question and then it's 20 minutes. And I'll give you the website at superthinksession.com. And it's a YouTube video and I took out the ads so you're not going to get interrupted. But if you do that exercise, it's like binaural beats and it's accessing new parts of your brain. Science, not woo, I promise. But you're going to come up with new ways to connect the dots. You're going to come up with new insights. And that is what it's all about. So superthinksession.com. I'll put the link in the show notes. Or you can do this meditation that will be at the end of this podcast. Okay, so I've been talking a little bit about the logical mind and that there is a time and place for it. So I want to come back to that. And I think what we've done in the West, particularly, is that we have put so much emphasis on the logical mind, on the rational decision making and pros and cons and this kind of stuff, but we have totally like discredited our intuition, right? The feelings. And the reality for those of you in the back, because I know I've said this before, is that we are emotional creatures who lead with feeling and then we rationalize with logic. And your brain is a beautiful piece of equipment in your head, right? But it has very specific jobs to do. And it's like we are using this piece of equipment and we're getting mad at it for doing something that it's not built to do. So, what your logical brain is meant to do is to analyze data and metrics. We want it to work that way. It's supposed to be looking at our financial projections and looking at our cost of goods sold. We want it to evaluate our legal compliance and our food safety and our risk. We want it to think about project management and timelines. And we want our logical brain to get in there and evaluate the different options. But it's not where the ideas come from. And for all of you who think, just give me the strategy, give me the black and white, like somebody just give me the step-by-step instructions, that's not how this game of entrepreneurship works. I know other people are going to tell you that's how it works, but in my experience and the way I love to work with entrepreneurs and with myself is that there are no rules, right? And you get to create, like, you came up with this delicious idea. It's your thing. It's incredible. It's new. It's different. And then we try to go to the old tried and true, what somebody else did, and that's not your path. Creating a beautiful business is about using your intuition and this guidance system that's going to create all these beautiful dots that are going to connect later. And that's where we want to access our creativity. That's where we want to think about the options. We want to say, does this feel like the right thing to do? Does this feel good in my body? And if so, then we lean into it and we say, well, what about that do I like? And we kind of keep, I call it like pulling the thread. We keep pulling the thread, but we don't just say, well, this is what the experts tell me to do. And so I will like force that into my business model. And I just don't think that that's honestly the hardest way to do it. And I did it that way for a long time. It's kind of amazing. I'm still in business, if I'm honest. I was thinking about this morning. I'm like, I bought all these programs that told me how to create an online business and to create a course and a membership. And like I tried to follow all those things and it's amazing. I'm so glad I have the resilience I have because I stuck it out. But I am telling you, I was like beating my head against the wall because it wasn't authentic to me. I wasn't tapping into my intuition. I was trying to use somebody else's cookie cutter plan that they said would work if I just smushed it onto mine. But it didn't work that way. And I will tell you that when I've gotten into more alignment and more authenticity and really tapped into my intuition, that's when things have gotten a whole lot more fun and magical and easier and connections come and it's just a beautiful thing. So what does it mean to be in your intuition? What does that mean? Because I'm gonna guess that many of you, and I was the same way as well, is that I was told to like stuff all my emotions down and those don't matter. They're irrelevant here. We only want to like get into your mind and look at the pros and cons and listen to what all the experts say, right? And we block it out. And the way we tap into it, the way you know you're in your intuition is more of a feeling in your body. And Marie Manuchehri, I told you I've been following, she talks a lot about you got to get into the lower half of your body. And I was already doing this actually with my one-on-one clients, is that I like to start with just a breath, right? We breathe in a couple times. So deep breath in, releasing it. We'll do that a couple times. And I'll ask them to notice their sit bones, to feel their feet, maybe wiggle their toes. I want you to get into the lower part of your body. We got to get out of our head. We're so in our head all the time. And I bet some of you guys can relate to that. You're just like, I'm in my head. I can't get out of there. It's crazy in there, right? Because that's not what your brain was supposed to do. You're not using your brain correctly. You're asking your brain to come up with answers that it has no idea. And so, of course, it's crazy town in there. So, what we're doing is we're disconnecting, we're getting into a different part of our body so that we can start feeling into it. When you start considering, well, do I want to work with an influencer? Do I want to do a lead magnet? Do I want to do markets? Do I want to do wholesale? When we start considering all of our options, do I want to do a giveaway? Do I want to do reels? Do I want to like the options are endless, but we really first we need to know what is our vision. Guys, we got to come from a vision. We got to know where we're going. What is the end goal? And so many of you don't have a vision. I was just talking with somebody. I'm like, what's the goal here? You're trying a lot of things, but what's the goal? So first you got to have a vision. You get into that. You get into the lower half of your body. And then you start feeling like what is coming up for you. Maybe you have a vision of some other product that you really like or some other brand. Maybe a symbol or a color or a flavor or a person pops into your mind. And you just sit with that. You get quiet, you get still. We stop trying to numb out and buffer with all these things outside of us. We start noticing synchronicities and opportunities, and we start brainstorming. We do that super think session, or we do a meditation where we get into like really hearing what is available, like what else is out there. And when you do this, you're going to start getting some downloads. You're going to start getting insights. And I know it can be really scary. You might be like, I'm not ready to put my intuition into play when it comes to, I don't know, making a big investment in a name change or packaging or a totally different product. But what if you started with small things? What if you just started with things like, what's for dinner? What if you started with things like, what should I wear today? Or you started with like, I could do this kind of reel or this kind of reel. Which one excites me today? What do I want to do? And the solutions are going to start coming so much easier when we relax, when we release our resistance, and when we're not trying to force something. We're not trying to push it, right? And jam this square peg into a round hole. It just doesn't work that way. So I believe in an integrated approach. I don't think it's all intuition. I don't think it's all just like, I don't know, I just had a thought. So I just felt it in my body. So let's go with it. But we allow our intuition to come up with possibility. And then we use logic. We use our rational mind to execute it. Well, first to evaluate it and to execute it. So I believe it's both. And remember at the very top, I said, I am guessing that you can say yes to you have made decisions before and you've been like, I knew I shouldn't have done that, right? I should have done that. And so getting into your intuition, the integrative approach is allowing for a little bit of space when something comes up that you are able to say, how does that feel in my body? What feels aligned? Not just what should I do? What do the experts say, right? No, what feels good for you right now in your body? And one of the best ways to shift out of fear-based decisions, fear-based thinking, and getting yourself into openness, to expansion, to possibility is something that I was reminded about from Marie, and that is asking what if questions. positive what if questions, not what if I blow up my whole business, which I admittedly have said probably more than once, but I am shifting that into a more positive what if question. But I want you to play around with this. So before we do a meditation, I want you to just notice, like, what if you were in fear? And maybe just get into fear for just a second. What if you are thinking something like, what if this all goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I can't afford to do this? What if I royally screw it up? What if I do something that I can't come back from? What if I have to do it this way because everybody else is doing it this way? Just notice in your body how that like lowers your vibration, right? What if? And it's like all this negative stuff. Okay, so that's where most of us are probably living a lot of the times because our brain is always scanning the environment for negativity. It's always on the lookout for what could go wrong. So of course, it's in that place of thinking about everything that could go wrong and all the fear. But we as entrepreneurs recognize that. We see it. We go, aha, I see you. I see you, brain. I know you are trying to serve me. I know you're trying to help me. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but we're entrepreneurs and we're already doing things that are not safe. We're already taking risks. And so we're already out there on the ledge. So, what if we actually entertain questions, positive what if questions that raise our vibration, that get us into a higher state that allows us to access our creativity? Here's some questions for you to consider. And I would really love for you to come back to these. I'll actually put them in the podcast show notes so you could copy them, put them into a note, put them on a piece of paper. Because just notice, we spent just a second, a couple minutes in the fear-based thinking. Notice how things shift for you in your body. Okay, let's all take a breath. Okay, what if this works out better than I ever could have imagined? What if this challenge leads me to my next breakthrough? What if my breakdown actually opens up resources and support that are available that I haven't seen yet? What if I knew I couldn't fail? What if I knew that I was in the perfect place, the perfect time to do this business? What if this is setting me up for something amazing? What if success is right around the corner? And what if I am changing the world by showing up and doing this business? Just notice your energy and how your vibration raises and you feel more optimistic, you feel more expansive. That's where we want to start solving problems. That's where we want to be making decisions from. So I absolutely love what if questions, positive what if questions. And I have been playing around with this every day. I've been trying to get I shouldn't even say trying. I am getting very consistent recently with writing in my journal every day. And I have expanded my usual journal writing to have a whole page of like stream of consciousness, positive what if questions. And I love them. I love it so much. It totally gets me excited and energized. And I can tell, I just feel more like, yeah, let's go. Of course, this is hard, but the solutions are right there. What if today is the day that it all just falls into place? What if it can be easy? I have just been loving playing around with what if questions, and I would love for you to do the same. Other ways that you can raise your vibration is definitely through meditation, getting still, breathing exercises, getting into gratitude practices, right? Focus on what's working. I know I did an episode around the gap and the gain, and really focusing on the gain and what's working and gratitude. Of course, we talked about positive what if questions, training your brain to get into possibility, getting into your body, doing a body scan and noticing like, where is their tension? Where is their expansion? And just breathing into that. And then I'm just going to ask you, I'm not even going to ask, I'm going to let you know as entrepreneurs, I believe it is your responsibility to be really mindful about where your attention goes and the energy and the things that you are allowing in, right? So limiting negative news, limiting conversations that are negative, like being really mindful about the things that you're letting in. I've talked about this on another podcast, right? About the who's and the energy and the circumstances. And there's a lot that's more in your control than you might be thinking about, but you got to get that stuff out. You got to really limit it. Okay, so the last thing before we get into a little meditation, this is again something that I learned from Marie, is that you really want to ask a very open-ended question. So instead of asking very specific questions like, show me how to fix my pricing issue, or is my packaging FDA compliant, or tell me which bundles I should run at the farmer's market. It's more like asking much broader questions, like as my highest self, show me what I need to see about farmers markets, or show me what I need to see as far as my overall pricing strategy. So zooming out a little bit, because we got to give like the creative solutions aren't usually in the like very specifics of something. They're in like, oh, this like whole new way of seeing things. So don't get super too locked into like one tiny, like very minute specific question. And when in doubt, always lean into love. Show me, my highest self, what it would look like to build a business from love, to build a business I love. At the heart of it all is love. I truly believe that. And so if you're getting stuck, just lean into love. Okay, so let's do it. If you're driving, you might want to pause this and come back to it later. All right, so what I want you to do is get into a safe space where you can listen to this and you're in a quiet space. And if you can, be sitting down. You could lie down if you want to. And I always love starting like rubbing your hands together. And I think there's something really cool about feeling your energy, right? It's just like when you pull them apart and you feel that heat and that energy. And it's just such a reminder that we are so much bigger than these bodies, these physical bodies. Like our energy goes way out there, right? You guys are listening to me sometimes all the way around the world, and my energy is going out that far. All right, so you rub your hands together, bring them, you could open them up. I always love to do it, especially something around receiving, like opening up your palms of your hands to receive. All right. So let's just take a couple deep breaths in, and I would highly recommend that you close your eyes. And out through your mouth, breathing in and out through your mouth. One last time. And notice your body and where you might have some tension. Let's do a quick body scan. We can start at our feet, wiggling our toes, coming up through our ankles and our calves, knees, thighs. Just breathing in anywhere you feel tension, tightness, stuckness. Feeling your sit bones on your chair or the floor, your stomach, your chest, shoulders, your arms, your elbows, going out to your wrists, your hands, up through your throat, back of your head, through the top of your head. And then you want to pose your question, that broad, open-ended questioning. As my highest self, show me what I most need to know about in my business. First, I want you to bring to mind a vision for you living your best life in your business. And whatever came to mind is correct. It is the right thing. There is no wrong or right answer here. I want you to feel that feeling. If you're living your best life, you're living in your vision, why you started this business in the first place. Your business is one you love. You love getting up every day and working on it, and it's providing what you wanted. What is that feeling? Tap into that feeling. Again, no right or wrong answers. Some of the ones I hear often and that are also true for me are freedom, freedom over my decisions, freedom over my time, freedom over my money. It might be contribution, serving others, changing the world, having an impact. It might be growth, connection, or love. Again, when in doubt, always come back to love. There might be some other feeling. We want to tap into what is that feeling? Why are you doing this? At the end of the day, let's tap into what we want to feel. And I like to get really in tune with the senses here. Can you taste something, smell something, feel something that's representative? Hear something, see something that's representative of your vision. Sit with that feeling for just another couple seconds. Make it real. Okay, so I want you to ground back into the lower half of your body, feeling your sit bones, wiggling your toes. In your heart, feeling those feelings that were coming up, the vision of why you're doing this. And then ask your highest self, ask that IGS, that internal guiding system. As my highest self, show me what I need to know. Reveal to me in the highest good. Reveal to me and the highest good for me and for my business what I need to know about. Stay in the lower half of your body. Don't go into your brain. You need to move your toes or tap your legs just so we stay in our physical body and just sit with it. Notice what comes up. And then I want you to just send thanks. Thank you for whatever you received. And you might even be thinking that was nothing. I didn't receive anything. I promise you, there's something there. Thank you for showing me what is in my highest good. I am receiving. I receive. One more deep breath in, out. All right. So you can come back to presence. Now, I don't know. I don't know what message, what download, what intuition gave you. Maybe it was a little piece of music. Maybe it was, I'm hungry. I really want to go to the store. Or maybe it was some flash of a vision. Whatever it was, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take action on it. If you had an image of going to the grocery store and being in a certain aisle, what if you actually got in your car and you went and did that right now? Because we don't know. You could reach up for that product and the same person's grabbing that product and you end up chatting and they're the buyer for that store, right? We don't know. I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen, but we want to put ourselves in the way of cool things happening. We want to put ourselves into serendipity, into moments that things can happen for us. Maybe a pitch competition came to mind, or an organization, or my program, or reaching out for a strategy call, or reaching out to another founder. Whatever it was, act on it. And if it's a bigger thing, if it's like I want to make an investment or I want to change the name of my product, then recruit your brain. Bring in the logical part of your brain. That's what it's there for. But don't let it talk you out of something. Remember, it's going to come from a fear place. It's going to be trying to keep you safe. So keep coming back to your what if questions. Keep coming back to calming your nervous system. Sometimes it can help to just say, like, I see you. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but we're going to do something. We're going to make an investment, for example, in our business. So it's not a question of if, it's let's evaluate the options and what feels right for me. All right, what a fun podcast, a little different, but it's something that feels really important because I will bet you that any wildly successful entrepreneur is and who loves their business, I should say. I meet a lot of very unhappy entrepreneurs, but the ones who are loving their business, who's working for them, that I am certain, guaranteed that they have followed hunches, that they have done crazy things that they're like, that seems totally out of character for me, but I just had to come up and introduce myself. I just felt like I needed to meet you, right? You're at some conference or trade show or networking thing. This is where the magic is. This is you putting yourself out there, you trusting your inner guidance system, you following up on, I'm just going to enter that pitch competition, or I'm going to pop into that store and try to make an introduction with the buyer. I'm going to ask this person at the market this question, right? You're starting to listen to that very small voice that we want to get louder. We want to honor it. And we want to recognize that it can be both. We can use our logical brains, but let's not rely on it for everything. You have a very, very intelligent intuition, and I am all about like, let's use both and let's create a business that is one that you love, that truly fits your lifestyle and the contribution and the vision for what you want, your success. Until next time, have an amazing week.